how the water here is so good and how you can like drink it from everywhere.
From everywhere.
I mean, it's not exactly something I planned on, but it is something that I had to do. When people look at the grand scheme of their life, no one plans for those big life-changing moments, but it does always end up being kind of exactly what you needed.
Oh my gosh, can you hear it?
Do you see it?
Because no one plans on getting divorced. This is my new condo. This is where I sleep. This is my sleeping buddy. I sleep on this side. She sleeps directly on that other pillow on top of it. So it's nice that I don't share the bed alone. I mean, Chris and I were together for 11 years, and then we lived together for like 5 of those years. So this is the first time I've lived alone in 5 years. Even our whole relationship, it was 11 years of being together pretty much all the time because we had a business together. So over a decade of being together a lot, and then living together for 5 years, and then now living alone. It's an adjustment, like it being this quiet. Growing up, I was exposed to a very unconventional life in some ways. My parents were both really big travelers, and don't get me wrong, my parents weren't like crazy wealthy or anything, but my dad was in the Air Force, and so his hobby and his passion was flying. So we had a 4-seater Mooney single-engine aircraft, and we had that my entire life. So I started flying when I was 8 months old, and we would take family trips in that plane, and that kind of unconventional lifestyle was already like ingrained in me since I was a little kid. My dad was also very much a person who would push me into things that were risky, that were hard, that were challenging. So when I was 11, he got me into flying lessons, and you know, getting my boating license, I think around the same age without having studied. He was just like, yeah, you're gonna do that today. As I grew up, I became interested in kind of those like adrenaline seeking activities. Like I went skydiving. My brother skydives as his hobby. Like they're so fun because they're so crazy, and I'm kind of addicted to things like that, and it must be because of how I grew up. I saw a documentary on Pompeii. I don't even know how old I was, but I was a child. And I just thought that Vesuvius, the whole eruption, was the coolest thing ever. And then the whole fascination and idea of getting to go see an active volcano was planted in my mind. And then it became something that was on my bucket list of things to do before I died. When I saw that there were volcanoes erupting in Iceland, it was kind of a natural progression, so why not make it happen? I don't know why, but I Googled this the other day. How to get over divorce. And then just seeing what like the articles say. This article is 8 tips to help you heal after a divorce. And the first tip is let yourself grieve. And then the second one is reclaim your own identity. So there are a few different risks associated with flying to Iceland and going to see an active volcano. The first one being that when a volcano erupts, it does not wait for you. I had one tab open on flights, and I had one tab open on the live view of the volcano, and I would check that every day and just stare at it and think to myself, am I really gonna do this? Is this a smart decision? There was a very real chance that by the time I landed in Iceland, there would be no volcano to go see, and then all of the energy, all of the money, all of the time spent doing this would be wasted. I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into. Luckily, I did have friends in Iceland who did know what I was getting into, and so I think it was when Leon said that I needed to go get a gas mask that I realized how deep I was into this plan and how I really had no idea what I was doing. My editor, Justin, decided to come with me, and to put timing into perspective, we were getting ready for a pretty crazy 30 hours. We flew 6 hours from Toronto to Iceland and immediately went to Leon's office to start repacking all of our bags for the hike, which was rougher than we anticipated in some ways. To get to the volcano, you have to hike 10 kilometers, and this isn't flat ground. It's rocky Icelandic terrain. It is cold in Iceland. It is windy in Iceland. It is a very desolate landscape. There is nothing out there, so everything you need, food, water, you're bringing with you. And we also had a ton of gear.
Maybe 30 now?
Doing this was frustrating, it was exhausting, and looking at what's ahead and going into the unknown is scary.
Are you talking about the volcano or your divorce?
The volcano, but now that you mention it.
Oh my god, can you hear it? I'm gonna... Okay. No way. That's wild, man.
Divorce has meant overcoming what's safe, what's normal, and overcoming the idea of a future that now feels totally uncertain, and that is terrifying, to be frank. I really took a leap of faith outside the norm into something that I felt would be important and ultimately incredible for me. At the time, I didn't think my divorce had anything to do with going to see the volcano, and now in hindsight, I think that subconsciously it must have been part of the decision. Deciding to take that trip and to do that hike and to do the entire thing was something that was important for me to do on my own because of everything that was happening in my life. When I got to see the volcano, it was the most surreal experience of my life. I saw how it glowed. I could feel the heat on my face. I could hear it. It was incredible. And there was a feeling of accomplishment. Thinking back to what little me wanted growing up, to see an active volcano, and I was actually able to do that, was, yeah, it felt amazing. It gave me the confidence and security in myself to know that I have control, I have the power. If I want to make something happen, if I want to feel good about my future and what's going to happen, that is in my control. Pushing through the norm or what's comfortable or what's safe, and then getting to this point where you realize you are okay and life is incredible and there is so much more that is incredible about life to experience, is really what this whole story is about. I think though that the most important thing to me was proving to myself that I can do hard things and that I will and I am moving forward.